or if the case were reversed and the sea became associated with the name of a great seafaring race, Moors, then a wider vista opens out before us. There has been much written about the Mannanan and other water people. And they talk about places named Moravia, connected with the Moors, Morini, Moray in India, Mori or Mauritania in Africa, to show you the vastness of this empire. The Maori, South Pacific, Moravia, Romans, it's so much. Now check this out. Now this bugged me out. This is in the bottom. This is not even part of the book. This is like a footnote on the bottom. Now this is heavy because in this, he mentions Europeans landed on shore in New England in 16-something. And getting into a battle with 700 Moors. And in the paragraph, he uses the word Moor and Indian interchangeably, as if he's talking about the same person. Check it out. He says, in a brief narrative of the encounters between the early colonists of New England and the native Indians, I find it stated that these unfortunate gentlemen were intercepted by 700 Moors, with whom they fought for the space of 4 hours, so not only they too, but Captain Sharp and 51 Christians more lay dead upon the place. And again, that at Buttocks, 10 miles away from Seconch, on the 16th of May, was a little skirmish between Moors and Christians, wherein there was of the latter, Christians, 3 slain and 2 wounded, and only 2 Indians killed. So they use the word Indian and Moor, native Indian and Moor interchangeably. It's some of the same people, us. It's right there in black and white. This is Europe. It's not a Moor writing. This is a European writing this. Then we want to know why. Well, why are so many Europeans up in England and all that place, Denmark and all that stuff like that? Got the answer right in here. He says the Moss troopers or Mosses. These were Moors. Moss troopers. You look at them with Highlander. All those are Moors. Moss troopers, Highlanders, all that Moors. Those Moss troopers or Mosses are thus revealed to us as a race of men so different from the civilized inhabitants of Scotland that the bulk of them could not be tolerated. It says, but were either killed or transported. Then it also says that the treatment they received was so analogous to that experienced by their kindred across the Atlantic. Talking about so-called Indians being relocated, Trail of Tears. And talking about the Moors over here being relocated. And he says that the treatment they received was so analogous to that experienced by their kindred across the Atlantic that the resemblance hardly needs to be pointed out. And then he says the native Moors or Indians. And then he says a king by the name of Malcolm IV removed them all from the land of their birth and scattered them throughout the other districts of Scotland, both beyond the hills and on this side thereof, so that not even a native of the land, not even a native of that land abode there, and he installed therein his own peaceful people. Sounds familiar? So they take you now. This is what was happening down in the so-called Civil War, what's happening down. They were actually taking your land. You wasn't bred from Africa, you was already here. They will come seize your land, relocate you, sell you over here to be a slave, and take the land. Pushing you further and further west. And let me just read this also from ancient modern Britain with regards to who were the Danes. And they talk about the Danes conquering Britain in 876 AD. Now check this out. Their technology, the Danes, Moorish navigators, in 876 AD, their technology was so advanced that the white people thought that they called them magi or magicians. And it says in here, with regards to their approach, of their ships, it says, just give me a second to get the page. It says, Simeon of Durham tells us that their approach was heralded by fearful prodigies, which terrified the wretched nations of Anglos, inasmuch as horrible lightnings and dragons in the air and flashes of fire were often seen glancing and flying to them. Look what they're saying. They heard terrible thunderings as their ship approached, and they seen dragons flying to and fro in the air. And then it says, Now, although all this was mystery and magic to the wretched nation of Anglos, it would not be so to any civilized modern people. Horrible lightnings and dragons in the air and flashes of fire glancing and flying to and fro, accompanied with fire rain, that is by no means unexampled. These are the ordinary adjuncts of modern warfare. They were launching artillery, modern artillery in 876 AD. When the ships were they was boom, boom, boom. They was hearing modern artillery being launched. The dragons with tails of flying to and fro in the air were actually missiles being launched. That's the type of technology we was doing back then. They thought we were magicians. They called us magi. We were so powerful, we had them, just during the time I was saying, like we had them enslaved, that we made them pay us a tribute, daily tribute. This is where you get the word blackmail. The tribute that they had to pay to the Moors is called blackmail. That's what it was called. That's where you get the whole thing black. That was the tax that we put on the Europeans. So there's a whole nother area of our history that we have not looked into. I'm just scratching the surface right now. It's so much more to it. There's so much more to it. And what I want to do is just touch on a couple miscellaneous things, just to show you also, this new developments is coming out every time. The last class, the course that I taught, we graduated over a dozen students. And what's been happening is that, and it was from all walks of life. Some were Masons, some were Hebrew Israelites, some were this, some were that. And once they got this context, now they all coming, you know, they're constantly bringing me new material every day, new things that they're finding. We constantly, just the other week, I just brought this the other week. And Civil War magazines, right? And on the inside here, and I'll have this up in the front, you could take a look at it. They have a picture of a battle that took place during the Civil War. And when you look at what's on the heads of the fighters, you see blue and red fezzes. Clear as day, blue and red fezzes on their heads. Then I got the other magazine, and they have a picture here of another person fighting in the Civil War. Let me see what's on his head. The fez. This is in this hemisphere. Now, these particular units or regiments were what was known as Zouave troops. What is that about? I gotta look into what is Zouave troops fighting in the Civil War? These Zouave troops were so-called Algerians. Now, what is Algerians doing fighting over here in North America? Algerians, fezzes and all, Zouaves. This is where they got the word suave or suave from the word Zouave. They were known as some of the most fierce fighters in this war. They were just known as being fearless. There was this where they talk about where they didn't like their guns. They just threw down their guns and just attacked with knives. They was just fearless. I mean, just knowing that it was a Zouave troop, you struck fear. You know what I'm saying? So we just got this information. Now we're looking deeper into that aspect of it. And then I came across something else, and this bugged me out. This is just something brief, but it just bugged me out. And I got this from an older Nexus magazine, and in it they did a series called "The History of Banks," history of banking. And it wasn't even the article was not even about this. It's not even about what I'm about to read. He just said this in passing, and the way he said it was as if like, you know, I don't even have to justify this. I don't have to prove this. This is just known. Check out what he said. He said, there was a hue and cry in the newspapers of the Northeast banking interests to execute the president of the vanquished Confederate States of America in the South. For 2 years, the president of the South was kept in a dark, wet, cold cell in the side of an earthen bank in Fortress Monroe. He was an ill and broken man when put there. He should have died and was expected to die. When it was apparent that there was no way the ravaged and occupied South, parentheses, which was ruled by blacks, could ever revolt, he was released. Oh, wait, hold up. He just threw that in there. I mean, in parentheses, he just says, which was the South, which was ruled by blacks. And I said, wait, where did he just threw it? He didn't even try and prove it or nothing. He just said it as if, like, this is just common knowledge. And I seen it mentioned in other books, talking about carpetbaggers, talking about how the South was ruled by black people. So someone else, see, what happened was that we had a plantation system already here, the Moors set up over here, where we had Europeans on it. And what happened was that they just took over the slave system that we already had, they just reversed it. And we became the slaves, the prisoners of wars and the slaves. So they just took over what was already established. This is why a lot of the ones who already managed the planet just became overseers. Just doing what they've always been doing, but now they're giving the fruits of their labor to the European because they were defeated in particular wars or battles. All right? And there was something else that I wanted to... Oh. Here... All right, let me just get this right here. In this lesson also, I have a series of pictures in here. And this was a motif, and they constantly did this. They constantly showed pictures of famous European generals or leaders or whatever up front, and in the background you see a little more in the background, as if he's like some little servant or something like that. In reality, the European you see up in the front was the student of that little Moor you see in the background, who they portraying as a little servant. This was a motive, but they could not reveal who it was that was teaching them this science, because our heads would have been taken by the sword for teaching it to them. So we put them on the sword and told them not to reveal the secret. So you see, here's a picture of Peter the Great, and you see a Moor in the background, looking over his shoulder. That's the teacher. This is a student up front here. Then you see another picture here of George Washington. You can't really see it from there. I don't expect you to see it, but I'm just going to show it. The family of George Washington, and here in the corner, you see a brother back here. In the corner, in the shadows, back in the corner, there's a brother back there. Here's a picture of George Washington, and here's Prince Whipple in the back with a turban, and a feather in a turban. Now check this picture. Now, here's Prince Whipple, and back of him with a turban on. I just want to show you this picture. Where's that? Here's a picture of Noble Drew Ali with a turban, with a feather in it. And here's a picture, and they look almost similar. Prince Whipple with a turban and a feather. And it was said that what? George Washington chopped down a cherry tree, which was dealing with the Moorish flag and the Moorish fez, and put it into a conservatory and hid it there. And who was it that reclaimed it? Noble Drew Ali. So it's a strange coincidence that it's as if Noble Drew Ali is looking over his shoulder, saying, I'm seeing what you did, but I'm going to come back at a later date and reclaim it. You know, and what they said, the Moors practice reincarnation, right? Here it go, right here. It's right there. Here's another picture of General Lafayette, and here's the Moor in the back here. So wait a minute. Why is all these pictures of these famous white people and a Moor in the background? There's something deeper to this. You know what I'm saying? You see, and here's a picture of John Tribune, Lieutenant Governor, and his Negro servant in the back. And you see the same motive throughout. This was a motive where those who know understood that, and back at him, that was his teacher, who was teaching that European that was in front. And now some people say Ben Bey, them Moors who told them they traitors. Why they did that? They're not traitors. Those were the Moors who stood for the true principles of what the Moorish civilization was about, and they rebelled against the Moorish Empire, which had got corrupt and began to enslave people, and the rulers, the sultans, got greedy and began to give the people Islamism, which was religious mystery and spook god worship. Instead of giving them the signs of mathematics from 0 to 9, zodiac and geometry, that was hidden. And that was considered like taboo. That was considered bad. And you had to deal with the religious mystery part because they understood that religion is a form of mass control or a way of control. The Moorish Empire had got corrupt, hid the truth from the people, and began to enslave the people. So then you had a series of Moors who stood for the truth of what the Moorish Empire was about, and they said, well, you know what we're going to do? We're going to use the Europeans as a tool to overthrow the wicked Moorish Empire. See, our ancestors did things long time ago that will come to fruition at a later date. Them documents that you see the European with that was given to them. All that knowledge was given to them. There's a lesson here in dealing with Big Ben Bay where they talk about this mystery man that shows up at the sign of Declaration of Independence. They said the sign of Declaration of Independence, and Independence Hall, whatever, they had the doors locked, guards downstairs, everything. So they over there, up there arguing, you know, they scared, they really scared to declare their independence. And we gonna kill and all this stuff like that, you know. And then I think that's one time when they say we don't hang together, we don't hang along, something like that. Anyway, they fussing whether or not they're gonna sign this document. The document's there. They're like, we're gonna get killed. All of a sudden, a man stands up. Nobody, how do you get in there? And he says, sign that document. And then he goes through a long list of why they should sign that document. And when he finished, all of them ran to the table to sign the Declaration of Independence. When he turned around, the man was gone. And all through the history of the United States, you will always see these mystery people who are behind the scenes doing certain things, and the white people up front taking the credit for it. The Declaration of Independence, those things were put together. That's for us to use now. So that when we step up to the USA society and say, we declare our independence from you, and say, well, what right you had to declare their independence? You did the same thing back then. And the list of abuses that you gave to justify you declaring it, we got a list 10 times longer than that to justify our claim. And if what we are doing now is invalid, then what you did back then is invalid. See, we got to know how to use the same documents that they use. We can use the same things to do what we got to do in this time, because when our ancestors put them things together, they really put it together for us in this day and time. And this is why they was told, sign that thing. Because my descendants in the future will be able to use that. I was talking with Brother Hakim, you know, about the importance of land and dealing with land. And I'm going to work with Brother Hakim on that, you know, of us securing land, because, see, land, nature, that's the foundation of our spirituality. Our spirituality is nature-based. You're never going to be truly spiritual people while you're walking out here on concrete, and you know, you never really make contact with the earth. Sometimes you just got to go out there, put your feet up, and establish that contact. We got to study the plants and all these things that our ancestors used at one time. When you go out, I mean, there's so much right out here. Me and the brother, we went out. There's so much stuff right in your own backyard that you don't even realize. You got, it's wilted now, but you got yellow dye. It's right outside this building, just grows wild everywhere. And this is one of the best blood purifiers you can use. You get that root, chop it up, dry it out, you drink that, that will purify your blood. And it's also a good source of iron. So when women, you know, after the menstrual cycle or whatever, they lose a lot of blood and iron, this will replenish it. You got plantain leaf. Grows wild everywhere. It's right outside the building also. And usually when I go into the woods, I usually pick up a little bit of this, because this is good, like if you happen to get a bee sting or snake bite or anything like that, just put it right on there. You're all right. Any kind of cut, wound, anything. So I always keep some of this with me when I go into the woods. Also, if I know I'm going to be going on a long hike or whatever, I put some in the bottom of my shoes. That's what our ancestors did right here. When they were going on long journeys, they put this in the bottom of their shoes and their feet won't get tired. It draws it out, and you take it out. The leaf is all black. It drew all that out of you. You see? So this is very important also. You got chickweed. Grows all out there. Good for your skin. You make a tea, you wash your skin with it. Good for your skin. Also, we found out there, I mean, you got a whole bunch of wild, you got scallion, wild onions, just bunches of it out there. You ain't got to go to the store buy no scallion. You go right in your backyard. It's right there. Throw it up in there. It's right there. Wild scallion right there. You got, this is just some of the stuff. Shepherd's purse, all out there. All that's out there. I mean, there's so much stuff out there. This is what we got to get back into. When you know, where I'm at, up in New York, I know all the spots. I got many different spots out in woods and next to nature. When I want to be high, I go to certain places where I'm 1,000 feet high above the waters, just meditating. I got places down in the valley, places deep in the forest or whatever. All that stuff is right there. When riots break out and FEMA comes into effect or whatever, and they close on them stores, you got food sitting right out there. For instance, the birch tree. The inner bark is emergency food. You can live off it. Get back in tune with that land, because that will save you in the days to come. That will you know how much biological, chemical warfare they wage on us daily? They have cars that drive through Harlem that have chemical, biological things set up to the exhaust system. As they driving through, they just hitting you with it. When I go into the woods, that's what purifies. As I'm walking through the bush, the plants, all of it is just drawing all the impurities out of you. When you tune in with that, you got to tune in with nature. She will reveal all of her secrets to you. There's so much out there. I mean, it's incredible. I bring my sons out there, and I teach them, you know. But we went out there, we found some white oak bark. And like what I do, see, when you go to the plants, you don't just go and snatch the plant up. A man by the name of Rudy Duckett up in New York City, Brother Abdul Rashad Hakim, he took me out there and taught me a lot of these things. He taught me how to deal with it. When you go up to a plant, and you want it for a particular ailment, you're supposed to go up and stroke the leaves and tell it what you need it for. Say, I need your leaves for so and so and so and for. And the plant will fill you out. and send to the leaves the chemicals that you need in the proportions that you need it in. When you just run up on a plant, you just bum rush a plant to start snapping. The plant gets nervous. It draws all its energies into the roots. So all you're doing is picking leaves that have no potency, don't have nothing in it. There's certain words, certain prayers, certain words of power that you say to plants to get the most potency out from it. You ask the plants permission. So I teach my sons, whenever they get it, let's say one of them got a rash or whatever, I take them out to the yellow dot. I let them pick it themselves, and I let them stroke the plant, tell the plant what they need it for. And you don't destroy the plant, you just try and pick enough that you need. Because I told them, I said that same tree or plant could be used for many generations. So that my children know that when they get a headache, they go to this particular tree. When their children, they all know that when I just go in my backyard and go to that tree. This is the relationship that we had, and the plant took care of us because it said, look, I'm going to give to you because I know you're going to preserve me. You need me because I'm going to work with you. And this is what we got to get back into this time. We got to evolve and develop technology. We're being called upon the world today. We at 144,000. We got to realize who we are, reclaim our nationality, and realize who we are, deal with more science. More science encompasses everything. You could deal with every science, any science, and that's more science. In the Moors, there's no such thing as, nah, brother, we don't deal with that, nah. Now-minded, dogmatic type of approach. Nah, we do the science to everything in life. Everything in life. And it's important to get in tune with nature because it will save your life. You will know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, what you should do to save yourself from that. And I'm just learning myself, but I'm into it. I mean, in my car, I got my machete down underneath there. I got my shovel. I got everything in there. I'm going to work just like countryman. I go in there. I just get into it. I just love it. I stay in there sometimes a whole day, and I can't even describe. You just got to experience it. And this is what we want to work on in terms of getting land, building retreats, just having things where we can go out there and just meditate. It'll cleanse you. It'll help you overcome all your problems. It'll recenter you, refocus you. Sometimes you got to step outside of your situation to understand your situation. Sometimes I'm in the woods, and I'm like 1,000 feet high, and I see New York City just like this. And I'm looking at it. I say, boom. All right, here I am. I'm in there. I got children. I'm doing this and that. I can see what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes when you're in it, you can't see the forest for the trees. You got to step outside of it so you can say, boom, this is what's happening. And then when you go back in it, you're more better prepared to deal with it. You see, we got to develop a technology that's in harmony with nature, that doesn't destroy it, but that's balanced with it. This society's out of balance. Technology's all up here, and society's down here. The highest crime rate, places like New York, you got more people killed in 1 year that's killed in these different wars that's happening in the Middle East and all this stuff like that. And there's no stated declaration of war, but more of us is dying in these cities. More of us is dying in these cities. So we got to wake up and realize what's going on. Time is but short. You know, those of us, I myself, I'm content. Just a simple way of life. Things I enjoy don't cost money. It don't cost money for me to go in the woods and meditate, take my children there, let them explore it and enjoy it and so on and so forth. It don't cost money to do those things. I'm content with that way of life. And everything else is extra. The cities, all this stuff will fall apart. I'll be content with that. Return back to nature. Return back to square one. So once we know that, that will be your insurance. So that anything that may happen, you will be prepared to deal with it. It's not okay. You know, they were able to do what they were able to do because of certain things that we did that sort of set us up for it, because, like I said, what goes around come around. Certain divine energies wasn't working for us. This is why they were able to just to march in and do certain things. And our divine talismans and sacred things just wasn't working the way it used to work. Because if we had just certain things that deprived it of our power, deprived ourselves of our power, and this set us up for them to be able to do what they were able to do.
Certain things.
In returns of conquerors. In other words, they rose up. We had them in slavery. And, you know, I don't get into people about their slavery was worse than ours. Slavery is slavery. I don't get to which is worse. We had certain dungeons, certain places in Britain stuff, we had them in dungeons, chained down in there. We sold their women stark naked in chains to different hounds. So I'm not going to get in capacity of which is worse and better. We have to recognize where, you know, you can't overcome, you cannot evolve yourself until you recognize the mistakes that you have made and overcome that. You see what I'm saying? So this is also important for us to understand so that we won't make the same mistake over again. You see what I'm saying? Because they say those who don't know this is doing to repeat it. You see what I'm saying? So this is why they were able to do what they was able to do. It was almost, you know what it was like? It was almost like a chess game on a global scale. in regards to the Crusades and this fight between the so-called Muslims and Christians. On this side of the board, you had king, queen, castle, or rooks or whatever, rank and file. On this side, you had king and queen. Christianity, this is what the whole chess thing was really about. And then you notice, now we were the most powerful at that time. So we said, we let y'all make the first move. And you see in chess, white always makes the first move. Now, we had the upper hand, but then the tables was turned. And the situation that we had them in, they now have us in that situation. This is why some of the similar things that they did to get themselves out of, we find ourselves now doing. And in regards to the first question, the significance of Moor is the Moorish is the dispensation of civilization. All these other things are different sub-nationalities. So you got Washator Moors, you got Seminole Moors, you got Ethiopian Moors, you got so-and-so Moor. These are sub-nationalities, but the whole picture in terms of the civilization was Moor. The word Moor did not originate with Greeks, white people, as people may think that white Greeks or white Romans or something like that, because first of all, the language Latin originated with us, first of all, in terms of looking at Latin terminology, and second of all, the word Moorish civilization came from the last high priest of the Moabite civilization, Moor Luakanil, who gave the technology and everything, the knowledge from the previous civilization of Moor and Atlantis to his son Yaqub or Jacob, and then they perfected the science of mathematics going from 0 to 9, which today they call Arabic numerals, zodiac and geometry, and then we set out to re-educate the rest of the human family at planet Earth to the civilization. And being that we were navigators, we were the main dispersers of civilization on the planet. And we came in contact with the best that each civilization had to offer and used the best parts for ourselves. This is why Moor can never be narrow-minded and dogmatic and say you only can do it this way or that way. You see what I'm saying? We study this time, and we draw out the best part for ourselves.
For intellectual references, you need to get the books on James Churchward.
Signs and symbols.
Of mute. Cosmic forces of mute. Different ones on James Churchward book. Also, it's compiled in the Mysteries of the Mexican Pyramid by Peter Tompkins. It deals with James Churchward's particular works on music.
Oh, you just brought us in. Let me just throw this in there since you just brought that up. In that very same book, they speak about a man by the name of Augustus Le Plongeon, who wrote a book called Queen Mu and the Egyptian Sphinx. And his whole theory was that the civilization was brought from this hemisphere and then brought abroad. The reverse of what they were putting forth at that time, and he was castigated for that. And then up in New York City, I went to look for that book. And there was only one library that had that book in City College. And I went there to go get that book, and sure enough, it was missing. It was missing. It was lost, stolen. They done pulled it off, and as we start to get more of this information, they're gonna begin pulling more of this stuff off. This is why it's important for us to preserve what we can.
I have a question. When you were talking about decapitation in Mexico, and
Right.
you have a reference of Moors and Illuminati like they were one and the same, but everything I read now is Illuminati.
It's negative.
Bad guys, and they're the negative.
I know.
Trying to take over now, so
They have
part of the bad guys.
What I'm gonna do, the next lecture I'm gonna get into the connection between Moors, Illuminati, and the New World Order. And I don't have all my materials here on that subject right now. So
Are they the bad guys now?
no, the original Illuminati or illuminated ones are our ascended masters, our people. You see what I'm saying? But there's certain things that took place that we got a different twist on things. You know what I'm saying? And what I want to do, when I'm bringing other information, I'm gonna put a different spin on things, even things that regards the Federal Reserve and so on and so forth. There may be even a deeper aspect to all that.
Well, they're supposed to be behind this New World Order that they're trying to bring in, right?
Right. It ultimately goes back to us. I don't really want to get to it. I don't have my materials now, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to open a can of worms. I can't prove it with different things right now, but I'm going to say that for the next lecture. Just by show of hands, how many people would like to attend or would attend that lecture? I want to know if people are interested. All right, well, then the next one I'll do, hopefully in a month's time, will be on that particular subject. All right.
From a time aspect, a lot of information, like you're saying, we need to do this before they pull it, this and that. Well, what kind of time are we looking at before we have to get our own act together?
Well, what I suggest that we need to do is in the Moors, you know, we have in New York City we have a structure, and that's like the last lesson of the lesson here, where we get into the structure of our government and so on and so forth. And what we need to do is reclaim our Moorish nationality. See, you ask somebody, what's your nationality? African. There's no nationality called African. Africa is a continent made of many nationalities, many nations. There's no nationality called African. Afro-American. Afro's a hairstyle. Your nationality is Afro-American. We got to be clear about this, because when you look in the Black's Law Dictionary, nationality means your political and legal status. If you don't know you're not sure, then you don't really know what your political and legal status is. Then anybody can do anything they want with you. You have no real legal status. You see what I'm saying? Nationality is key. With your nationality comes certain inherited birthrights, namely self-determination, the right to govern yourself. The different states, you have the federal government and you have the United States society. The original federal government was designed by our forefathers. It was taken over, and the de facto federal government was set up by the Union State Society. The different states were set up by the white people united and took it over and set up a de facto government. The different states, the several states of the Union, were all their constitutions. They have their own constitutions, were based on the Magna Carta, which was a Christian code of conduct, based on their particular custom, common law custom practices and usages. We need to come together, put together a governmental structure and staff it. Have brothers in charge. This is what we're striving to do in New York City. I'm the wise educator. I'm the head of the Department of Education. We have another brother that we put in the head of the Department of Transportation for ourselves, our own court system, and so on and so forth. So therefore, we will step to the United States society and say, look, when we reclaim our nationality, we have thereby declared our independence from you, the United States society. And we are now governing ourselves according to our common law, custom, practices, and usages. You have no jurisdiction over us. In any court of law, before a court of law can proceed, it has to establish jurisdiction over the person or subject matter. If you establish a jurisdiction over person or matter, it cannot legally proceed. It cannot arbitrarily assume jurisdiction over you. When you have clear proof, you have your own constitution, your own nationality, stating clearly who you are. You see what I'm saying? So what we need to do is, and it's not for everybody, you know, the masses is not going to happen. The masses wait to a crisis situation before they respond and do anything. So this is why you always hear about 144,000. The first fruits is always a group of first fruits, a select few that would, and actually staff a government. You don't need masses of people. You staff it first. You establish your core system. You saw your 3 branches, which was perfected by Hakim Bey. Executive, judiciary, legislative, and you staff different offices, and you then now get together the most eloquent speakers or whatever, and then you step to you say, I'm not asking you, to recognize me. I'm just out of courtesy. I'm just informing you of the fact. See, in law they have what's known as the compact theory of law, which states, and that's in the 11th lesson here. The 11th lesson of the course. I found a jewel of a book. This particular book got into the origins of the states that we call, the different colonies, and how they went from the guild system to the franchise corporate type of structure, like the West Indies companies, all that stuff like that, and then into the Commonwealth, and then from Commonwealth into the state. So it grew right out of a franchise, right out of a franchise. And what it was a group. See, in the compact theory of law, it says that when a free and sovereign individuals come together and decide to collectively govern themselves by reason of their mutual agreement, that government is valid. That's the compact theory of law. That's what they did on the Mayflower Compact. They agreed amongst themselves before they set foot on land. They said that when we get there, we will collectively govern ourselves. And that became what's known as the state of Massachusetts. So here we go again. Therefore, when we claim to govern ourselves in our government, they say, well, that's invalid. Well, half of your states is invalid then because y'all did it based on the same thing. See, we got to know how to use what they're using against them. You see what I'm saying? So what we need to do is form a government, staff it, and begin to function that stuff, irregardless to whether or not they want to recognize it or what. And we got to do what we got to do to get it recognized on a global level. If they don't recognize, there's other nations in the world that will recognize. You see what I'm saying? And then from that point on, more people begin to get attracted when they see us doing what we do. Then we can begin to claim our land and do certain things.
In order to reestablish the power over our natural land and our lives that we need to learn from before, we obviously have to know our history so that we can learn from our tradition and our history. When we speak about the Hakim theory, the concept, and we talk about the fact that the beast was actually made by us, and then we also talk about the fact that we turn over those things that would make people like rulers of the world over to the beast that we created. You know what I'm saying? Now we're saying that this is a big reciprocity here. That what happens is that, you know, what goes around comes around. And I'm clear on all this that I just said. My question to you is, then, what are the specific lessons that we should learn from them to establish going on from here and not recreating that kind of disaster? You know, I want to know.
But what the goal of our ancestors when they perfected the code of the Moorish civilization, which consists of mathematics from 0 to 9, zodiac and geometry, they had a vision of a world order, of a one world order, where the people were educated, were given certain tools. For instance, the science of mathematics from 0 to 9, the zodiac and geometry. These are tools that, when applied to nature, will reveal the secrets of nature to you and show you the correct relationship that you need to establish with it. So their vision was that once the human family, planet Earth, are properly re-educated to this science, you don't need a police force. You don't need a priest, a rabbi, imam standing over them telling them what to do. They will be able to exist under one law. Do as you will, as long as you do not infringe upon another person's right, the same, and they will be educated and responsible enough to live under that one law. When you see a civilization like this civilization with hundreds of codes, laws, statutes on the books, that shows you that's a decadent society. Because they got to tell you and they got to force you to do what you know is right. But when you properly educate the people and give them the truth, they will do what's right. When I was in New York City teaching the board education, I came in there with my fez on, and and you know how the board education system is. I was in there and I was teaching you sciences about the mind, about dreams, about the melanin. They was like, I mean, they were so hungry for it. When the bell would ring, they didn't want to leave. I had to actually force them to leave so the next class would come in. The youth, they are hungry for this truth. They're hungry for this knowledge. So if they're in the state that they are now, it's our fault. Because we did not give them what they need to know. We did not give them the proper tools, so they're out there killing each other off. You see what I'm saying? So the ultimate goal was to establish a civilization based on universal principles, as opposed to now-minded religious dogma. See, all the different religions are based on the same universal principles. They just circumscribe it with different rituals and ceremonies, and then they argue amongst themselves over the different. Oh, you got to pray this way. You got to do this way. Yeah. See, you know, but then you miss the forest for the trees. What is the true purpose of all of this, of all those things? They're all based on the same universal principles. So the purpose of the Moors was to bring us back to universal principles, and then you could have variations on how it's expressed. But that's just showing you the truth from many different angles. The beauty of the truth is like a bouquet of flowers or a diamond with many facets. So the lesson that we need to learn is that we got to get beyond religious mystery. You see, you had two systems here. Religious mystery, and you got what they call masonry, which in reality deals with the evolution of man, you see what I'm saying, to his God-like, the unfolding of his God-like potential. Whereas the other suppresses man under the guise of morality. This is where you get the whole thing with Cain and Abel. And Cain is made to be seen like if he's the bad guy. Cain is the agriculturalist, you see what I'm saying, dealing with the fruits of the earth. And Abel was the shepherd, the nomadic one, offering up the meat sacrifice. Now, what happened was that Abel represents religious mystery, whereas Cain represents masonry. When he so-called killed Abel, he was exiled to where? The land of Nod, which really translates to node or anode. What's the opposite of an anode? Cathode, Catholic, cathode. So you got the anode system, you got the cathode. One deals with the evolution of man to his fullest godlike potential so that he can live under that one law, and the other deals with the suppression of man under the guise of religious morality. That's the true big brother that tries to control every aspect of your life through a priesthood, when really the goal of our ancestors was to give you the proper tools and the universal sciences that you need, and then you go out and navigate the course of your own life, because you're a navigator. And I'm so busy navigating my ship, I ain't got time to navigate your ship. So let me give you the tools of navigation, the tools that you need to navigate the course of life, and you go on and navigate the course of your own life. And that was the ultimate goal. So what we were supposed to learn was that we was not supposed to get involved with enslaving anybody, hiding knowledge, hiding the truth from people so that you can enslave them and exploit them. We was not to break ourselves into different religious factions based on various religious dogma and religious mystery of different varieties. That we was to deal with universal science and principles and establish a sound relationship with nature and the earth. That was the goal, and that is what we were supposed to learn. That White House that was set up by Ben Bey in terms of universal principles of science of government was supposed to be the true United Nations, where the people of the planet were supposed to be guided and represented and guided by the true science. In our structure of our government, we have what's known as the Huj-Ratal Baruj, or the Star Zodiac Chamber. That was supposed to be a part of the Washington, D.C., where certain calculations were made in regards to the sun, moon, and stars and the different cycles. And then our laws are based on those divine laws, not man-made codes, laws, and statutes. You see what I'm saying? But that has been left out. That's why on the back of the bill you see the pyramid, the cap is separated. The body pyramid symbolizes the masses of people, and the cap symbolizes the Illuminati or the illuminated ones who know the truth, but that truth is separated from the masses, and this is why you got the state of affairs on a global level like you see now. So our job is to come together amongst ourselves, govern ourselves by universal moral science, the universal principles, and then set the example and re-educate the rest of the human family planet Earth, the 144,000, because 144 is 12 square. Which means what? We are to square off the rest of the planet with the 12 signs of the zodiac, mathematics and geometry. And then you look at the layout of the new city of Jerusalem, and all the measurements boil down to 12. Shows you that the number 12 is the key to the New World Order. And the science of the zodiac, if you properly understand it, even though it's been commercialized, if you understand that science, it will show you the perfection of government in society. Everything, economics, everything should be based on that zodiac, which we trivialize, but we don't know what we're dealing with. So that was the ultimate goal of our forefathers. Now let me say one thing, because this is a vast topic. The course that I taught was 12 sessions, and that was just laying a basic foundation. So I know in these couple hours here, you're not going to get the full content, but I'll try my best. But
Just a couple of questions. What I'm trying to understand is back to the system that we're under right now. The main irony for me is that what you're saying is that basically, I heard you say before that like presidents, they're all like master masons or whatever, but what you're saying is that they hold the secrets that you're talking about. You say they hold them right now. You mentioned that, like,
they have them and they pass them down, but they don't fully understand what they have. They transmit them, they preserve them, they protect them, but don't fully understand what they have. It's like, you could have something, but if you don't know how to really truly utilize it, it don't really is of no good to you. You know what I'm saying? I could live in a house, and under that house could be a gold mine. But if I'm not conscious, I don't know how to dig it out and get it and utilize it, then it's really of no good to me. So they have certain things, they transmit certain things, they preserve certain things, but don't fully understand what they do have. We have the key. We have the solution to it.
So you're saying, like, but I'm trying to couple it together. You mentioned, hey, when they see, when somebody's posted to know, right? You mentioned be on 25th Street, see the European Church, somebody see the feds, and they say, whoa, stuff like that.
They'll hit you with certain jewels. They'll give you certain things. You know, I had certain professors in colleges, you know, hit me off with this term, you know, check this out, or here.
But what I'm saying, man, is like just say, okay, he's wearing a fez, so he's cool, we back off from him. But this brother standing next to him without a fez, I go ahead and kick him through all one.
Well, it's not really that simple. It's not that simple. You know, anybody could throw a fez up on his head. But like the elders always taught us, sincerity is everything. If you sincere in this, and you will exude it, people will just pick up on you. I've been in a situation, I didn't have the fez on, but they was able to pick up certain things, and based on that was able, so it's more than just the fez. The fez is just an outward manifestation of what you're supposed to have inside.
Well, basically, is an Asian. They say, hey, that black guy's okay, easy to know.
Like I said, it's not that simple. It's not that simple. They're not gonna sit back and say, he has a fez on his head, so he's okay. And
or he exudes whatever, and he's okay. And I can't mess with him, but I can mess with these over here. I'm gonna do that right in front of his face.
Right, to a degree, like I said, it's not always that simple, but they will treat you like, for instance, like when I was doing my whole thing with the tax with the board education, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, I guess the way I presented myself, they began to treat me different. I mean, I felt almost kind of uncomfortable, like, because it was like, treat me almost like some kind of royal. I mean, they was giving me direct access to all the heads, like, you know, go ahead, Mr. Bey, you know, straight ahead, you know. And then after they did everything that I asked them to do, you know what I'm saying, then it was like, you know, I was like, you know, they went through a lot of trouble, and I was, you know, I just being the type of person I am, I didn't mean to put you through so much, you know. Oh, anything to be of service to you. And what I'm saying is that it's more than just wearing a fez. You see what I'm saying? But like I said, you will be treated differently, and it's not about putting on the fez so white people treat you different or say, oh, he's, you know, a good guy or whatever. It's not about that. But I'm just saying this is just the side effects that happen, or some of the. Who are they? Who I feel that who the European Masons are? I feel like they like my son. Not my sons, Masons, Muslim sons. You know what I'm saying? Those descendants. Those are the ones. Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that there are some white people who will see the hereafter. Out of all the ones, those ones who deal with that science of masonry and practice it in a true way, those are the closest ones, and those are the ones who will make it to see the hereafter, whereas the other ones will be generally wiped out. You see what I'm saying? So with regards to those European Masons who truly understand what they're dealing with, you got many in there who don't understand what they're dealing with. Some of them get in there just like a lot of black people just for status society, so they could, you know, fraternity, you know, they get in there and this one know that they're one, and they get a position and status in life and get access to certain things. You know what I'm saying? Some in there go in there seeking for true wisdom and true knowledge. You see what I'm saying? So in terms of them, those ones, like I said, are the closest ones that will survive and see the hereafter than the other ones.
I don't want to argue, but so isn't that back to tit for tat? If they're going to get annihilated, I assume they're going to be annihilated.
I'll be honest with you. We don't really have to lift up a finger to annihilate. We don't have to focus on annihilating them. We just need to focus on getting ourselves together. Nature is about to genetically select them out of existence. Just the solar rays, the ultraviolet rays in and of itself is about to wipe them out. They know this. We don't have to focus on killing the white people, destroying. Don't even focus on that negative emotion. Focus on building yourself up. Focus on building your government and your people, educating you. Focus on that. You know what I'm saying? We ain't got to get into negative annihilating them. It's not about them. You know what I'm saying? We give them more credit than they're worth. Forget them. Deal with ourselves. They ain't all that. By us making them be all, oh yeah, the white man, we got to, you know, they're gonna do this. Forget them. Do what you got to do. All their weapons. They brothers and sisters say, fear for my life. We had cases where agents came to my table from Interpol, International Police. I had cops tell me the FBI considered my table a hot spot. Am I supposed to say, oh man, I'm playing low key now. I'm low profile now. You know what I'm saying? Nah, I know I'm dealing with a higher force, a higher science. So I do what I gotta do, and don't worry about that. I had an encounter where I'm in the deep part of the woods and ran into agents with suits and ties on. Now wait, how are you gonna run to a white man? You in the woods, he in there with a suit and tie on? I knew they was on a mission, and I looked him right in the eye, and I knew I was dealing with a high force. And you know what he did? He got nervous, lit a cigarette, and got in his car and drove away. And this happened on a number of occasions, but I know I'm dealing with a higher force. I've been trained by Yoruba priests, high Ethiopian priests, Egyptian priests, many different ones that trained me and done certain things in order to protect. I got my words are working. You see what I'm saying? I just got to do what I got to do, and don't worry about all that.
Well, and what just mentioned about the mothership and what he's talking about what's going to happen to white people. But at the same token, you know, anytime black folks do try to come together and get their act together, there is this amount of resistance from the white community, regardless of our votes. And, you know, like the Waco type thing is a good example, you know, as well as like the LA riots, where they pretty much prepared.
This is why we got to do certain things. Being that we know this already, we just take certain precautions to take care of that, and we move in a certain way strategically. It's like a military maneuver, you know what I'm saying? It's like the art of war. Make a noise over here and attack from this side. You know what I'm saying? We got to move strategically. It's not. We were ancient masters of the art of war. They study Hannibal and stuff to this day. So it's not. There's no obstacle that we cannot overcome in this day and time. If we apply ourselves. You know, we can sit back and say, "Oh, this is my habit. They're gonna do." Let's just do the work. Let's just do it, and everything else will fall into place. We say up in the Great Seal that until we activate our government, which is we have set up like what we call the Hex Alpha, some call it 6-pointer star, whatever, and staffing and activating our government in and of itself is a talisman. It's an activation of a talisman. We will reactivate certain energies and forces that will come into play. But us doing what we got to do, don't sit back and wait for a mothership to come and kill the white people. No, do what you got to do. You make the first move, and then the rest will come into effect. Oh, this brother didn't you right there.
Yes, and your discipline, how could I tap into it, or any individual? How could...
All right, I myself, I taught a course, and it consists of 12 packets, and each packet comes with an audio tape and a written lesson, and this is actually the class itself, so you're going to hear the students in the back asking questions, you know, making comments, so on and so forth. And you know, I personally did this in the city because at the time when I wanted to know so much about the Moors, but there was no formal class, nothing formally given on it. You know, just something you hear from a brother out here on the street, something from here. I was like, yo, I want something I can sink my teeth into. So I seen the need, so I said, let me fill it. Instead of me complaining, saying, oh, I ain't got no school, this is whack. I said, well, don't complain about it, let's do it. So I said, look, I had a background in education. I said, let me put the course together. So I went, I took the basic lessons that the elders gave us. Some of them was only like 1 or 2 pages long. And I went into the extra research to add the extra documents to support it. You know, so you come through the course. At the end of the course, you receive a certificate. This is the way we've been doing it up in New York City. You receive a certificate from the Great Seal Department of Education. From there, if you want to go further, you could take the course and say, well, look, it was a good educational experience. I don't want to go no further than that. Or if you want to go further, we'll help you get your nationality card, your constitution, and all the other documents we have from that point on. You have access to all that. And now you come in this government, this association, as a free and sovereign, more as an equal, and now you can sit down together with us and we can evolve this together. You know, because not no one man know it all. I don't by no means know, this man don't know it all, but all of us together know it all. You know, so if you want further information, if you want to look at it happen, what seemed based on what the research I did up to so far, it seems like the conspiracy was saying like I said, they had to graft themselves onto already existing history. So like I said, the original people in that place in Rome was the Etruscans, the original people in Greece or whatever, Mycenaean and Minoan civilization. So what they did seemed to me like was graft themselves on it. And then, you know, like during the so-called Renaissance, they were doing sculptures that almost exactly resembled the sculptures that were done in Greece and Rome. And they were passing these sculptures that were being done at that time as Greek and Roman sculptures to make you think that these people were white people back then in those lands. You see what I'm saying? So it seems like these were students, some of them were actually students of us, of the Moors and stuff like that. They were writing, they were using these different pen names, and it was like a thing they was doing amongst themselves. You know, giving themselves an artificial sense of antiquity, which they didn't have.
So all these Europeans in both these books of Roman empires, you got 1,000, you go to the library and pick out at least 1,000 of them.
See, another thing I found out too is that Harris really was intricately connected with various fictional writers at the time, like the one who wrote Tom Sawyer, yeah, and what's his name, Edgar Allan Poe and all of them. At one point when Edgar Allan Poe was down out, he lent them money. So here you have fictional writers that's able to write fictional stories that seem like reality. So why couldn't you hire the help of these fictional writers to draw up a whole fictional concocted history? You see what I'm saying? So it's going to take more of us they're looking. We got different brothers out there researching different areas, the Masonic connection, this connection, and we got to pull it all together because if this is true, which it is, this is going to totally overturn their whole paradigm, their whole thing is going to be overturned if this is right and exact, which it is.
What about the ancient Roman structures?
The different temples that was built by us. Ain't no Europeans built those things. Those things built by us, man. Those things are definitely built by us. All in the Greek. All the megalithic structures that was built by us because those things are actually books in and of themselves.
And the Colosseum too.
All of that was us. I'm sure. The Europeans is recent, very recent. Very recent. I'm talking about they just recently got large, 1850 something. I mean, before that it was nothing. New Jacks. You know what I'm saying? New Jacks. That's why the world's in disarray because it's like a child with a gun in his hand. They babies. And what did the Egyptians tell them? You Greeks or Europeans in this case, they substitute word Greek. You are babies in the knowledge that we possess, and you will always be children in the knowledge that we possess. It didn't say like one day you will mature and all of a sudden you will be like full 360 like us. You may learn to do like us and act contrary to your nature. You see what I'm saying? It's like we are now acting contrary to our nature. We have learned to act contrary to our own nature. So that that's what happened with that. Yes, there's a book I published called Deeper Than the Abyss, and that altogether I published about 75 different pamphlets. They're all $3, $4, $5. And these are supplemental materials that go along with the course. They just supplement and show you different areas a little deeper, let's say. And the one Deeper Than the Abyss talks about a mind control facility that they had on Montauk, Long Island, with the so-called Philadelphia experiment, and it was underground. And in that particular pamphlet, he says underneath the United States is the vast underground tunnel network. He doesn't go into detail, but he drops it right there that there is a vast underground tunnel network, and it's known. They got cabins, they got things that go for miles underground. They could go so deep, you know what I'm saying? But they are fully aware of the existence of this.
What is
the underground tunnel system that we built? The underground tunnel.
Going in to the underground tunnel.
So where are we going right now?
We're going to an underground city.
Underground? How many of them are there?
Oh, there are 6 or 7 that have been excavated.
This is amazing.
Temperature changes.
Yeah, it's just like you can feel the ghosts.
10 degrees in 10 feet.
It just keeps getting colder.
We're just beginning our descent. The underground city is massive, and we will barely scratch the surface.
What's this?
Oh, that's for air. Hundreds of air holes, aside from the wells, to make sure there's enough air on each floor.
Wow. How long ago was this cave city made?
At this one, at least 3,000 years ago.
So what's the point of living underground?
Basically for protection from enemy, but also air conditioning. 62, 63 degrees year-round.
Yeah, because it's very cold in the wintertime here. It's very hot in the summer.
Every room and passageway I am seeing is man-made, carved out of the rock. It's too dark for the cameras to fully capture the sheer size of this place. There are streets down here wide enough for camels to pass through. It's like high-rise condominiums in reverse, 10 stories, straight down. They've discovered about half a dozen cities like this so far, but it's believed there may be as many as 40 underground cities in Cappadocia.
Well, based on my research, it seems as if these tunnel systems were for 2 reasons. See, it seems as if there was 3 divisions of us. And this gets back in the so-called Greek mythology, which is really, dealing with us. They break the 3 main ones down to 3 divisions. And it seems as if the ones, when they refer to Zeus, the heavenly ones, these seem like the ones who didn't come down to this planet and cultivate this planet like we did. When they talk about Poseidon, those are the ones of us that was dealing with the land and the seas. And when they talk about Hades, they're talking about the ones that was dealing with the underground cities. So really there seems to me to be 3 divisions of us. Now we operate on all levels, all 3 levels. This is whether we realize it or not, whether you're conscious of it or not, we really function on all 3. I have a theory, I believe, or I should say, I know that some of us, I was telling the brother about it, as if we live altered lives. Some of us, when you go to sleep at night, you think you're just going to sleep. Some of you out there piloting those vehicles that's up there, but you realize it or not. And I had cases where my wife told me of dreams where I'm talking about sleep. I'm talking different language, saying different formulas of mathematics, and saying different longitudes and latitudes. You see? So we got to realize who we are. Some of us, you exist in sometime on more planes than you think you are. You know, so it seemed as if there was 3 divisions. Hades symbolizing those ones that was dealing with the underground cities. Shambhala, when you go up into the North Pole, you go keep on going, there's cities inside there. Those of us who was dealing with on the surface, and those of us who never came down, who said, y'all going to one day forget who you are, and we're going to come back and have to rescue you one day to make you realize you're going to get so immersed into the flesh that you're going to forget who you are, the divine entities that you are, because we cultivated this planet, and some say we came here from the star system Sirius. And we came here and cultivated this planet. It's like you cultivate a garden. You know, and I heard it said that this planet, the Moors refer to as the treasure chest of the universe, containing all the species and genetic codes for everything out there. This is why you got different beings come here just to refurbish their genetic code, because it's all here. When you go look into the deepest parts of the ocean, you see fishes, you see animals that look like they're from other worlds. Jellyfish with lights going around, look like UFOs. Some of these species may actually be the basis of a whole system of life in other solar systems, right here on this planet. You got worlds, millions of worlds right here on this planet, right here. And this is why the elders told us, they said that if you want to measure ceiling, but it's too far, you measure the floor. So if you want to understand all that's out there, look right down here on the earth. And I'll take one more question, then I'm going to close on out.
I'll answer. Anybody else got it?
Anybody else who didn't? All right. Why is he not a traitor? Because he's the one who perfected the science of government, and he's the one, see, he was dealing with the true science of the Moors. And like I said, what he did was use the Europeans to overthrow the wicked Moorish empire at that time. He's the one who's spoken of in the book of Revelation as the 3rd horse, which is riding with the scales in his hand. Justice. This is why we refer to him as Justice Ben Bey, Emmanuel Muali. You know, he's the one who came to, you know, balance the scales in a sense, you could say.
There's another explanation to all that too. If this beast has done this much with us with civilization, imagine how treacherous he could be if he wasn't giving some tools. Just like another book I was telling you was Ernest Scott's People with a Secret, where the actual Moors actually set masonry up in business, not only to illuminate this white man to the point that he could be civilized, but they understood, like you said, by losing some of this, they had to civilize a person, so when we got under the feet of this person, he would be a certain point that he wouldn't be the same barbarous person, but he just eat us all up.
That book is key, People with a Secret. That's going to be a key part of the next year. I was going to use a lot of posts from that. That People with a Secret book is deep. All right, so at this point, you know, I have, like I said, I have a couple of courses left, and if you want any further information, I'll try and, you know, get you further information, and basically that's it. I thank everybody for coming. Peace.